The entire history of Bulgaria. Prehistoric Bulgaria. Our journey through Bulgaria's history begins tens of thousands of years ago, in the prehistoric era. The lands of modern-day Bulgaria were among the first in Europe to be inhabited by early humans. Archaeological evidence reveals that Homo sapiens settled in the region as early as 40,000 years ago, during the Upper Paleolithic period. The Paleolithic era. The Paleolithic, or Old Stone Age, was a time when humans lived as hunter-gatherers, relying on nature for survival. In Bulgaria, caves such as the Bacho Kiro cave near Dryanovo have yielded some of the oldest evidence of human presence in Europe. Tools, bones, and artifacts found in these caves offer a fascinating glimpse into the lives of our ancient ancestors. These early humans were skilled toolmakers, crafting weapons and tools from flint and bone. They hunted mammoths, deer, and wild horses, while gathering fruits, nuts, and plants to sustain themselves. The harsh Ice Age climate shaped their way of life, forcing them to adapt to a constantly changing environment. The Neolithic Revolution. Around 6000 BCE, a monumental transformation occurred, the Neolithic Revolution. Humans began transitioning from a nomadic lifestyle to settled farming communities. Bulgaria became one of Europe's earliest centers of agriculture, as people domesticated plants and animals and built permanent settlements. One of the most remarkable Neolithic sites in Bulgaria is the settlement of Karanovo, located in the Thracian plain. Excavations at Karanovo have revealed homes, tools, and burial practices, showcasing the daily lives of Neolithic people. The Karanovo culture, which thrived between 6000 and 4000 BCE, is considered one of the most advanced Neolithic cultures in Europe. The Chalcolithic era and the Varna necropolis. By 4500 BCE, the people of Bulgaria entered the Chalcolithic, or Copper Age, marked by significant technological advancements. One of the most extraordinary discoveries from this era is the Varna necropolis, a burial site near the Black Sea coast. The Varna necropolis is famous for containing the world's oldest known gold treasure. Over 3,000 gold artifacts, including jewelry, weapons, and ceremonial objects, were unearthed here. These treasures reveal a highly stratified society, with clear distinctions between the elite and common people. The craftsmanship of these artifacts is astonishing, showcasing the advanced skills of the Chalcolithic people. The Bronze Age and early trade networks. By 3000 BCE, Bulgaria entered the Bronze Age, a time of increased trade, technological innovation, and cultural exchange. Bulgaria's location at the crossroads of Europe and Asia made it a hub for early trade networks, connecting the Aegean, the Balkans, and the Black Sea regions. Bronze tools and weapons made by alloying copper with tin revolutionized agriculture, warfare, and craftsmanship. Archaeological sites such as Ezero and Unit provide evidence of thriving Bronze Age communities with well-organized settlements, fortifications, and advanced metallurgy. The Proto-Thracians. Toward the end of the Bronze Age, around 1500 BCE, the Proto-Thracians began to emerge as a distinct cultural group. These early ancestors of the Thracians were known for their warrior culture, religious practices, and artistic achievements. They laid the foundation for the Thracian civilization, which would dominate the region in the centuries to come. The Proto-Thracians were also skilled horsemen, and their mastery of horseback riding gave them a significant advantage in warfare. Their burial mounds, or tumuli, provide valuable insights into their beliefs and social structure, with elaborate tombs and grave goods reflecting their reverence for the afterlife. The Thracian civilization. As the Bronze Age gave way to the Iron Age, the Thracians emerged as one of the most prominent and enigmatic civilizations in the ancient Balkans. Known for their warrior culture, artistic achievements, and spiritual beliefs, the Thracians left a legacy that continues to captivate historians and archaeologists. Who were the Thracians? The Thracians were an Indo-European people who inhabited a vast territory stretching from the Carpathian Mountains in the north to the Aegean Sea in the south, and from the Black Sea in the east to the Vardar River in the west. Their lands encompassed much of modern-day Bulgaria, as well as parts of Greece, Turkey, and Romania. The Thracians were not a unified nation but a collection of tribes, each with its own leaders, customs, and traditions. Despite their tribal divisions, they shared a common language, religious beliefs, and cultural practices, which distinguished them from their neighbors. Thracian society and culture. Thracian society was hierarchical, with a warrior aristocracy at the top, followed by craftsmen, farmers, and slaves. The ruling elite lived in fortified settlements, while the majority of the population resided in small villages scattered across the countryside. The Thracians were skilled metalworkers, producing intricate gold and silver jewelry, weapons, and ceremonial objects. Their craftsmanship is evident in treasures such as the Panegyrishti treasure, a collection of gold vessels adorned with scenes from Thracian mythology, Thracian religion, and spiritual beliefs. Religion played a central role in Thracian life. The Thracians worshipped a pantheon of gods and goddesses, many associated with nature, fertility, and the afterlife. Their most important deity was the god of the sun and war, often identified with the Greek god Apollo. The Thracians believed in the immortality of the soul and practiced elaborate burial rituals to honor their dead. Burial mounds, or tumuli, were constructed for their leaders, containing treasures, weapons, and even sacrificed horses and servants to accompany the deceased into the afterlife. One of the most famous Thracian sanctuaries is the rock-hewn complex at Perperikon, located in the Rhodope Mountains. This site, believed to have been a center of worship for the god Dionysus, offers a glimpse into the spiritual practices of the Thracians. Thracian warriors and warfare. The Thracians were renowned for their skills in warfare. Their warriors were fierce and highly mobile, often fighting as mercenaries for powerful empires such as the Greeks, Persians, and Romans. Thracian warriors were known for their distinctive weapons, including the rhomphaia, a curved sword that was both a tool of war and a symbol of status. The Thracians also excelled in cavalry warfare, with their horsemen playing a crucial role in battles. Their reputation as skilled riders and fearless fighters made them highly sought after by foreign armies. Thracian art and mythology. Thracian art is a testament to their creativity and spiritual depth. Their gold and silver treasures, adorned with intricate designs and mythological scenes, reflect their beliefs and way of life. The Kazanlak tomb, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is a masterpiece of Thracian art, with its vivid frescoes depicting scenes of the afterlife. Thracian mythology is rich with stories of gods, heroes, and legendary figures. One of the most famous myths is that of Orpheus, the legendary musician and poet who is said to have descended into the underworld to rescue his beloved Eurydice. Orpheus is often associated with the Thracians, and his story reflects their deep connection to music, poetry, and the mysteries of life and death. Roman and Byzantine rule. As the Thracian civilization began to decline, a new power rose to dominate the lands of modern-day Bulgaria, the Roman Empire. For centuries, the region served as a vital part of the Roman and later Byzantine empires, shaping its culture, infrastructure, and identity. The Roman conquest of Thrace. The Roman conquest of Thrace began in the 1st century BCE, as the expanding Roman Republic sought to secure its borders and control the strategic Balkan region. By 46 CE, Thrace was fully incorporated into the Roman Empire as the provinces of Moesia and Thrace. The Romans brought with them advanced military organization, engineering skills, and administrative systems. Thrace, with its fertile lands and strategic location, became an important part of the empire, serving as a buffer zone against invasions from the north and east. Roman cities and infrastructure. Under Roman rule, the region experienced significant urbanization and development. Cities such as Serdica, modern-day Sofia, Philippopolis, Plovdiv, and Nicopolis ad Istrum became thriving centers of trade, culture, and governance. Serdica, in particular, held great importance. Emperor Constantine the Great famously referred to it as "My Rome," and it served as a key administrative and military hub in the Balkans. The city boasted impressive infrastructure, including baths, forums, and defensive walls. The Romans also built an extensive network of roads, connecting the cities of Thrace to the rest of the empire. These roads facilitated trade, communication, and the movement of troops, ensuring the region's integration into the Roman world. Roman culture and religion. The Romanization of Thrace brought significant cultural changes. The Thracians adopted Roman customs, language, and religion, blending them with their own traditions. Latin became the dominant language of administration, while Roman gods were worshipped alongside Thracian deities. One of the most notable cultural shifts was the spread of Christianity. By the 4th century CE, Christianity had become the dominant religion in the Roman Empire, and Thrace was no exception. The region saw the construction of early Christian churches and the rise of influential bishops. The division of the Roman Empire. In 395 CE, the Roman Empire was divided into the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire. Thrace became part of the Byzantine Empire, which would rule the region for nearly a millennium. The Byzantine period was marked by both continuity and change. While the Byzantines preserved many aspects of Roman culture and governance, they also introduced their own traditions, including the Greek language and Orthodox Christianity. Byzantine fortifications and defense. The Byzantine Empire faced constant threats from barbarian invasions, including the Goths, Huns, and Slavs. To protect its territories, the Byzantines constructed a series of fortifications along the Danube River and other strategic locations. These fortifications were part of a broader strategy to defend the empire's northern borders, known as the Danubian Limes. Despite these efforts, the region remained vulnerable to invasions, leading to periods of instability and depopulation. The arrival of the Slavs and Bulgars. By the 6th century CE, the Byzantine Empire faced a new wave of challenges as Slavic tribes began to migrate into the Balkans. The Slavs settled in large numbers, blending with the local population and reshaping the region's cultural and demographic landscape. In the late 7th century, the Bulgars, a Turkic people led by Khan Asparuh, crossed the Danube and established a foothold in the region. This marked the beginning of a new era in Bulgarian history, as the Bulgars and Slavs united to form the First Bulgarian Empire. The First Bulgarian Empire, 681–1018. The establishment of the First Bulgarian Empire in 681 marked the beginning of a powerful new state in the Balkans. For over 3 centuries, this empire would challenge the Byzantine Empire, expand its territories, and lay the foundations of Bulgarian culture and identity. The founding of the First Bulgarian Empire. The story of the First Bulgarian Empire begins with the Bulgars, a semi-nomadic Turkic people who migrated from the steppes of Central Asia. By the 7th century, the Bulgars, led by Khan Asparuh, had crossed the Danube River and settled in the lands of modern-day northeastern Bulgaria. In 681, following a decisive victory over the Byzantine Empire, Khan Asparuh established the First Bulgarian Empire. The Byzantines were forced to recognize the new state and pay tribute, marking the beginning of a long and complex relationship between the two powers. The Bulgar-Slavic Union. One of the key factors in the success of the First Bulgarian Empire was the union between the Bulgars and the Slavs. The Slavs, who had settled in the region earlier, formed the majority of the population, while the Bulgars provided military leadership and organization. Over time, the Bulgars and Slavs merged culturally and linguistically, creating a unique identity that would define the Bulgarian people. This process of assimilation was facilitated by the adoption of Old Church Slavonic as the official language and the development of a shared religion and culture. Khan Krum, the lawgiver and conqueror. One of the most notable rulers of the First Bulgarian Empire was Khan Krum, who reigned from 803 to 814. Known as both a lawgiver and a conqueror, Krum expanded the empire's territories and strengthened its internal structure. Krum's military campaigns brought him into direct conflict with the Byzantine Empire. In 811, he achieved a stunning victory at the Battle of Pliska, where his forces annihilated a Byzantine army led by Emperor Nikephoros I. According to legend, Krum had the emperor's skull turned into a drinking cup, a symbol of his triumph. Krum was also a visionary leader who introduced a set of laws aimed at strengthening the state and ensuring social order. These laws addressed issues such as property rights, crime, and the treatment of slaves, reflecting Krum's commitment to justice and stability. The Golden Age of Tsar. Simeon the Great. The First Bulgarian Empire reached the height of its power and cultural development during the reign of Tsar Simeon the Great, who ruled from 893 to 927. Simeon's reign is often referred to as the Golden Age of Bulgaria, a period of unprecedented prosperity and cultural flourishing. Simeon was a highly educated ruler who sought to transform Bulgaria into a cultural and spiritual center of the Slavic world. Under his patronage, the Preslav Literary School and the Ohrid Literary School were established, producing a wealth of literature, religious texts, and art in Old Church Slavonic. Simeon's military campaigns further expanded the empire's borders, bringing it into direct competition with the Byzantine Empire. At its peak, the First Bulgarian Empire stretched from the Carpathian Mountains in the north to the Aegean Sea in the south, and from the Adriatic Sea in the west to the Black Sea in the east. Religion and the Christianization of Bulgaria. One of the most significant events in the history of the First Bulgarian Empire was the adoption of Christianity as the official religion in 864, during the reign of Khan Boris I. This decision marked a turning point in Bulgarian history, aligning the state with the Christian world and fostering cultural and political ties with Byzantium. Boris I's decision to adopt Christianity was both a spiritual and political move. It helped to unify the diverse population of the empire and provided a framework for the development of a centralized state. The creation of the Cyrillic alphabet by Saints Cyril and Methodius further strengthened Bulgaria's cultural identity and facilitated the spread of Christianity. The decline of the First Bulgarian Empire. Despite its achievements, the First Bulgarian Empire began to decline in the late 10th century due to internal divisions, external pressures, and the rise of powerful enemies. The Byzantine Empire under Emperor Basil II launched a series of campaigns to subjugate Bulgaria, culminating in the decisive Battle of Kladion in 1014. The defeat at Kladion, where thousands of Bulgarian soldiers were captured and blinded, marked the beginning of the end for the First Bulgarian Empire. In 1018, Bulgaria was fully incorporated into the Byzantine Empire, bringing an end to its independence for nearly 2 centuries. Byzantine domination, 1018–1185. The fall of the First Bulgarian Empire in 1018 marked the beginning of nearly 2 centuries of Byzantine domination over the Bulgarian lands. This period was one of hardship and resistance, as the Bulgarian people struggled to preserve their identity and autonomy under foreign rule. The aftermath of conquest. In 1018, following the defeat of the Bulgarian forces at the hands of Emperor Basil II, known as the Bulgar Slayer, the First Bulgarian Empire was fully incorporated into the Byzantine Empire. Basil II sought to consolidate his control over the newly conquered territories by implementing a combination of military, administrative, and cultural policies. To prevent rebellion, Basil II allowed the Bulgarian nobility to retain some of their privileges and granted the Bulgarian Orthodox Church a degree of autonomy. The Archbishopric of Ohrid became the center of Bulgarian religious life, preserving the use of the Bulgarian language and traditions in church services. Byzantine administration and taxation. Under Byzantine rule, the Bulgarian lands were divided into administrative units known as themes, governed by Byzantine officials. While this system brought some stability, it also imposed heavy taxes and strict control over the local population. The burden of taxation fell heavily on the Bulgarian peasantry, leading to widespread discontent. Many Bulgarians were forced to abandon their lands and livelihoods, while others turned to banditry or joined resistance movements to fight against Byzantine oppression. Cultural resilience and the role of the Church. Despite the challenges of Byzantine rule, the Bulgarian people managed to preserve their cultural and religious identity. The Bulgarian Orthodox Church, centered in Ohrid, played a crucial role in maintaining a sense of unity and continuity among the population. Monasteries became centers of learning and resistance, where Bulgarian monks and scholars continued to produce religious texts and preserve the Cyrillic script. These efforts ensured that Bulgarian culture and traditions survived during this difficult period. Resistance movements and the rise of the Haiduks. Throughout the period of Byzantine domination, the Bulgarian people resisted foreign rule in various ways. One of the most notable forms of resistance was the rise of the Haiduks, bands of rebels who operated in the mountains and forests, attacking Byzantine officials and defending the oppressed. The Haiduks became legendary figures in Bulgarian folklore, symbolizing the spirit of defiance and the hope for freedom. Their stories, passed down through songs and tales, kept the dream of independence alive. The uprisings of Peter Delian and Gheorghe Voite. The most significant challenges to Byzantine rule came in the form of organized uprisings. In 1040, Peter Delian, a descendant of the Bulgarian royal family, led a rebellion against the Byzantines, proclaiming himself Tsar of Bulgaria. Peter Delian's rebellion initially gained widespread support and achieved several victories, but it was ultimately crushed by the Byzantine army. Despite its failure, the uprising demonstrated the enduring desire of the Bulgarian people to restore their independence. Another notable uprising occurred in 1072, led by Gheorghe Voite, a Bulgarian nobleman. Like Peter Delian, Voite sought to restore the Bulgarian state, but his rebellion also ended in defeat. These uprisings, though unsuccessful, kept the dream of independence alive and inspired future generations. The decline of Byzantine power. By the 12th century, the Byzantine Empire was in decline, weakened by internal conflicts, external invasions, and economic difficulties. This decline created an opportunity for the Bulgarian people to rise once again and reclaim their independence. The weakening of Byzantine authority allowed local leaders to assert greater autonomy, setting the stage for the eventual restoration of the Bulgarian state. Among these leaders were the Asen brothers, who would play a pivotal role in the liberation of Bulgaria. The Second Bulgarian Empire, 1185–1396, the Second Bulgarian Empire, established in 1185, marked the revival of Bulgarian independence and the restoration of its power in the Balkans. For over 2 centuries, this empire experienced periods of great prosperity and cultural flourishing, as well as challenges from both internal and external forces. The uprising of the Asen brothers. In 1185, 2 brothers, Ivan Asen and Theodore Petar, led a rebellion against Byzantine rule, marking the beginning of the Second Bulgarian Empire. The uprising was sparked by heavy taxation imposed by the Byzantine Emperor Isaac II Angelos to fund his wedding. The Asen brothers rallied support from the Bulgarian people, as well as from Vlach and Cuman allies, and launched a series of successful campaigns against the Byzantines. By 1187, the Byzantines were forced to recognize the independence of the Second Bulgarian Empire, with Tarnovo as its capital. Tarnovo, the new capital. Tarnovo, often referred to as the Third Rome, became the political, cultural, and spiritual center of the Second Bulgarian Empire. The city was strategically located on the Yantra River and was fortified with impressive walls and towers. Tarnovo was not only a military stronghold, but also a hub of art, literature, and religion. The city's patriarchal cathedral and numerous monasteries symbolized the revival of Bulgarian orthodoxy, while its schools of art and literature produced works that influenced the entire Orthodox world. The reign of Tsar Kaloyan, 1197–1207. One of the most notable early rulers of the Second Bulgarian Empire was Tsar Kaloyan, who reigned from 1197 to 1207. Known as Kaloyan the Roman Slayer, he was a skilled diplomat and military leader who sought to expand Bulgaria's influence in the Balkans. Kaloyan's reign was marked by his alliance with the Pope, which granted him the title of King of the Bulgarians and Vlachs. This alliance strengthened Bulgaria's position in Europe, but Kaloyan remained fiercely independent, as demonstrated by his victories over the Byzantine Empire and the Latin Empire. In 1205, Kaloyan achieved a decisive victory at the Battle of Adrianople, where his forces defeated the Latin Crusaders and captured their emperor, Baldwin I. This victory solidified Bulgaria's position as a major power in the region. The golden age of Tsar Ivan Asen II, 1218–1241. The Second Bulgarian Empire reached its zenith during the reign of Tsar Ivan Asen II, who ruled from 1218 to 1241. Ivan Asen II was a wise and capable ruler who brought stability, prosperity, and cultural flourishing to Bulgaria. Under Ivan Asen II, Bulgaria expanded its territories to include much of the Balkans, stretching from the Adriatic Sea to the Black Sea. His diplomatic skills allowed him to forge alliances with neighboring states, including the Byzantine Empire and the Kingdom of Hungary. Ivan Asen II's reign was also marked by economic growth and cultural achievements. The construction of churches, monasteries, and fortresses flourished, while the Tarnovo Literary School became a center of learning and creativity. Challenges and decline. After the death of Ivan Asen II, the Second Bulgarian Empire faced a series of challenges that weakened its power. Internal conflicts, weak rulers, and external threats from the Mongols, Byzantines, and Serbs all contributed to the empire's decline. One of the most significant threats came from the rising power of the Ottoman Turks, who began their expansion into the Balkans in the late 14th century. The Bulgarian state, weakened by internal divisions, was unable to mount a unified resistance. The fall of the Second Bulgarian Empire. The final blow to the Second Bulgarian Empire came in 1393, when the Ottomans captured Tarnovo after a prolonged siege. The fall of Tarnovo marked the end of Bulgarian independence and the beginning of nearly 5 centuries of Ottoman rule. In 1396, the last remnants of the Bulgarian state were absorbed into the Ottoman Empire. However, the legacy of this period lived on in the hearts and minds of the Bulgarian people, inspiring future generations to fight for their freedom. Ottoman rule, 1396–1878. The fall of the Second Bulgarian Empire in 1396 marked the beginning of nearly 5 centuries of Ottoman rule over the Bulgarian lands. This period, often referred to as the Ottoman yoke, was one of profound hardship, but also of resilience and cultural preservation. Despite the challenges, the Bulgarian people never lost their sense of identity, and their struggle for freedom would eventually lead to liberation. The early years of Ottoman rule. The Ottoman conquest of Bulgaria was swift and decisive. By 1396, the Bulgarian lands were fully incorporated into the Ottoman Empire, and the once proud Bulgarian state ceased to exist as an independent entity. The Ottomans established a centralized system of governance, dividing the Bulgarian territories into administrative units known as sanjaks, governed by Ottoman officials. The Bulgarian nobility was largely eliminated or assimilated into the Ottoman ruling class, while the peasantry was subjected to heavy taxation and forced labor. Many Bulgarians were also conscripted into the Ottoman military, including through the infamous devshirme system, which took young boys from Christian families to serve as janissaries. Religious and cultural suppression. Under Ottoman rule, the Bulgarian Orthodox Church lost its independence and was placed under the jurisdiction of the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople. This move was part of a broader effort to suppress Bulgarian culture and identity, as the Ottomans sought to integrate the Bulgarian population into their empire. Many churches and monasteries were destroyed or converted into mosques, and the construction of new Christian places of worship was heavily restricted. Despite these challenges, the Bulgarian people found ways to preserve their faith and traditions, often in secret. The role of haiduks in early resistance. Throughout the centuries of Ottoman rule, the Bulgarian people resisted in various ways. One of the most notable forms of resistance was the rise of the haiduks, bands of rebels who operated in the mountains and forests, attacking Ottoman officials and defending the oppressed. The haiduks became legendary figures in Bulgarian folklore, symbolizing the spirit of defiance and the hope for freedom. Their stories, passed down through songs and tales, kept the dream of independence alive. The Bulgarian National Revival, 18th–19th century. By the 18th century, the Bulgarian people began to experience a cultural and spiritual awakening known as the Bulgarian National Revival. This period was marked by a renewed interest in Bulgarian history, language, and traditions, as well as efforts to restore the Bulgarian Orthodox Church. Key figures of the National Revival, such as Paisius of Hilandar, played a crucial role in inspiring national consciousness. Paisius's work, Slav-Bulgarian History, reminded Bulgarians of their glorious past and called for unity and resistance against Ottoman oppression. The National Revival also saw the establishment of Bulgarian schools, the publication of books and newspapers in the Bulgarian language, and the construction of new churches and cultural institutions. These efforts laid the groundwork for the eventual struggle for liberation. The struggle for liberation. By the mid-19th century, the Bulgarian people were ready to take more direct action against Ottoman rule. The struggle for liberation was fueled by the growing influence of revolutionary ideas and the support of Bulgarian expatriates living in neighboring countries. One of the most significant events of this period was the April Uprising of 1876, a coordinated rebellion against the Ottoman authorities. Although the uprising was brutally suppressed, it drew international attention to the plight of the Bulgarian people and galvanized support for their cause. The Russo-Turkish War and Liberation. The final chapter of Ottoman rule in Bulgaria came with the Russo-Turkish War of 1877–1878. The war, fought between the Russian Empire and the Ottoman Empire, was driven in part by Russia's desire to protect Orthodox Christians in the Balkans and to weaken Ottoman control in the region. Bulgarian volunteers known as the Opolchenci played a crucial role in the war, fighting alongside Russian forces in key battles such as the defense of Shipka Pass. Their bravery and sacrifice became a symbol of Bulgarian resilience and determination. The war ended with the Treaty of San Stefano in 1878, which recognized Bulgaria as an autonomous principality within the Ottoman Empire. Although the treaty was later revised at the Congress of Berlin, it marked the beginning of Bulgaria's journey toward full independence. Liberation and the Third Bulgarian State, 1878–1946. The liberation of Bulgaria in 1878 marked the beginning of a new era in the nation's history. After nearly 5 centuries of Ottoman rule, the Bulgarian people were finally free to rebuild their state and reclaim their place in the Balkans. However, the road to stability and prosperity would be fraught with challenges, as Bulgaria navigated the complexities of nation-building, regional conflicts, and global wars. The Treaty of San Stefano and the Congress of Berlin. The Russo-Turkish War of 1877–1878 ended with the Treaty of San Stefano, which established Bulgaria as an autonomous principality under Ottoman suzerainty. The treaty envisioned a large Bulgarian state that included most of the territories inhabited by Bulgarians, stretching from the Danube River to the Aegean Sea. However, the Treaty of San Stefano was short-lived. The great powers of Europe, concerned about Russia's growing influence in the Balkans, convened the Congress of Berlin later that year. The resulting Treaty of Berlin significantly reduced Bulgaria's territory, creating an autonomous Principality of Bulgaria in the north and an autonomous region of eastern Rumelia in the south, while leaving much of Macedonia under Ottoman control. The decisions made at the Congress of Berlin were a bitter disappointment for the Bulgarian people, who had hoped for a united and independent state. Nevertheless, the establishment of the Principality of Bulgaria marked an important step toward full independence. The unification of Bulgaria, 1885. The dream of a united Bulgaria remained alive, and in 1885 the Bulgarian people took a bold step toward achieving it. On September 6, 1885, the Principality of Bulgaria and Eastern Rumelia were united in a bloodless coup, defying the terms of the Treaty of Berlin. The unification was met with opposition from neighboring Serbia, which declared war on Bulgaria in an attempt to weaken the newly united state. However, the Bulgarian army, under the leadership of Prince Alexander I, achieved a decisive victory in the Serbo-Bulgarian War, solidifying the unification and earning international recognition. The Balkan Wars, 1912–1913. In the early 20th century, Bulgaria became a key player in the struggle to liberate the remaining Balkan territories under Ottoman rule. In 1912, Bulgaria joined forces with Serbia, Greece, and Montenegro in the First Balkan War, successfully driving the Ottomans out of much of the region. However, the victory was short-lived. Disputes over the division of the liberated territories led to the Second Balkan War in 1913, in which Bulgaria fought against its former allies, Serbia and Greece, as well as Romania and the Ottoman Empire. The war ended in defeat for Bulgaria, resulting in the loss of significant territories and a deep sense of national humiliation. World War I and the Treaty of Neuilly Bulgaria's territorial losses in the Second Balkan War left the country eager to reclaim its lost lands. This desire for territorial revisionism led Bulgaria to join the Central Powers during World War I, hoping to regain Macedonia and other territories. Bulgaria's involvement in the war initially brought some military successes, but the Central Powers' eventual defeat in 1918 had devastating consequences for the country. The Treaty of Neuilly, signed in 1919, imposed harsh terms on Bulgaria. The country was forced to cede additional territories to its neighbors, including parts of Thrace to Greece and the Dobruja region to Romania. In addition to territorial losses, Bulgaria was required to pay heavy reparations and reduce the size of its military. The treaty left the nation economically weakened and politically unstable, fueling resentment and a desire for revenge. The interwar period, 1919–1939. The interwar period was a time of political turmoil and economic hardship for Bulgaria. The country struggled to recover from the devastation of World War I and the harsh terms of the Treaty of Neuilly. Political instability was rampant, with frequent changes in government and the rise of extremist movements. Economic challenges and social unrest. The economic consequences of World War I and the reparations imposed by the Treaty of Neuilly left Bulgaria in a state of financial crisis. The Great Depression of the 1930s further exacerbated poverty and unemployment, leading to widespread social unrest. Strikes, protests, and political violence became common as Bulgarians sought solutions to their worsening conditions. Despite these challenges, the interwar years saw some progress in education, culture, and infrastructure. Efforts were made to modernize the country, and Bulgarian intellectuals and artists contributed to a growing national cultural identity. Political instability and the rise of authoritarianism. The interwar period was marked by political instability, with frequent changes in government and the rise of authoritarian tendencies. In 1923, a coup d'état overthrew the government of Alexandar Stamboliski, leader of the Bulgarian Agrarian National Union, and established a more conservative regime. By the late 1930s, Tsar Boris III consolidated power, steering Bulgaria toward a more authoritarian monarchy. While Boris III sought to maintain stability, his government faced growing pressure from both domestic factions and the rising tensions in Europe. World War II and the Axis alliance. As World War II approached, Bulgaria sought to regain its lost territories and restore its national pride. In 1941, Bulgaria joined the Axis powers, aligning itself with Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and Imperial Japan. This decision was driven by the hope of territorial expansion, particularly in Macedonia and Thrace. Bulgaria's role in the war. Bulgaria's alliance with the Axis allowed it to occupy parts of Greece and Yugoslavia during the war, but the country avoided direct involvement in military operations on the Eastern Front. Despite its alliance with Nazi Germany, Bulgaria notably refused to deport its Jewish population to Nazi concentration camps. This was thanks to the efforts of Bulgarian politicians, clergy, and citizens who opposed the Holocaust, saving nearly 50,000 Bulgarian Jews. However, as the war turned against the Axis powers, Bulgaria faced increasing pressure from the advancing Soviet Red Army. In 1944, the Soviet Union invaded Bulgaria, leading to the overthrow of the pro-Axis government and the establishment of a pro-Soviet regime, the end of the monarchy and the rise of communism. In 1946, following a referendum, the Bulgarian monarchy was abolished and the country was declared a People's Republic. This marked the end of the Third Bulgarian state and the beginning of a new era under communist rule. Communist Bulgaria, 1946–1989. The establishment of a communist regime in Bulgaria in 1946 marked a dramatic shift in the country's political, economic, and social systems. For over 4 decades, Bulgaria was a satellite state of the Soviet Union, governed by the Bulgarian Communist Party, BCP. This period was characterized by rapid industrialization, collectivization of agriculture, and strict political control, but also by repression and limited personal freedoms. The early years of communist rule. The early years of communist rule in Bulgaria were marked by political purges and the consolidation of power by the Bulgarian Communist Party. Under the leadership of Georgy Dimitrov, the BCP implemented policies aimed at transforming Bulgaria into a socialist state. Private property was abolished, and the economy was reorganized along socialist lines. Land was collectivized, and industries were nationalized, leading to significant changes in the country's economic structure. While these policies brought some economic growth, they also caused widespread hardship. particularly for farmers and small business owners. The era of Todor Zhivkov, 1954-1989. Todor Zhivkov, who became the leader of the Bulgarian Communist Party in 1954, dominated Bulgarian politics for over 3 decades. Under his leadership, Bulgaria became one of the most loyal allies of the Soviet Union, closely following Moscow's policies and directives. Zhivkov's regime focused on industrialization, urbanization, and the expansion of education and healthcare. While these efforts brought some improvements in living standards, they also created significant economic inefficiencies and environmental problems. Cultural and political life in communist Bulgaria was tightly controlled, with censorship and surveillance limiting freedom of expression. Opposition to the regime was harshly suppressed, and many dissidents were imprisoned or exiled. Relations with the Soviet Union. Bulgaria's close relationship with the Soviet Union defined much of its foreign and domestic policy during the communist era. The country was a member of the Warsaw Pact and the Council for Mutual Economic Assistance, Comecon, aligning its military and economic systems with those of the Eastern Bloc. While this relationship brought economic and military support from the Soviet Union, it also limited Bulgaria's independence and tied its fate to the fortunes of its more powerful neighbor. The decline of communism. By the 1980s, the communist regime in Bulgaria faced growing challenges. Economic stagnation, environmental degradation, and widespread dissatisfaction with the lack of political freedoms eroded public support for the government. The decline of the Soviet Union under Mikhail Gorbachev's policies of glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring, further weakened the Bulgarian Communist Party's grip on power. In 1989, mass protests and political pressure forced Todor Zhivkov to resign, marking the beginning of the end of communist rule in Bulgaria. Post-communist Bulgaria, 1989-present. The fall of communism in 1989 marked the beginning of a new era in Bulgarian history. The transition from a one-party socialist state to a democratic republic was a complex and often difficult process, marked by political, economic, and social challenges. The transition to democracy. In 1990, Bulgaria held its first free elections in over 4 decades, leading to the establishment of a democratic government. The new constitution, adopted in 1991, guaranteed political freedoms, human rights, and the rule of law. The transition to democracy was accompanied by significant economic reforms, including the privatization of state-owned enterprises and the liberalization of markets. While these reforms were necessary for Bulgaria's integration into the global economy, they also caused widespread unemployment, poverty, and social inequality. Integration into Europe and NATO. One of the key goals of post-communist Bulgaria was integration into European and transatlantic institutions. In 2004, Bulgaria joined NATO, strengthening its security and aligning itself with Western democracies. In 2007, Bulgaria became a member of the European Union, marking a major milestone in its post-communist development. EU membership brought economic opportunities, infrastructure development, and access to European markets, but also required significant reforms in areas such as governance, the judiciary, and anti-corruption efforts. Challenges and achievements. Since joining the EU, Bulgaria has made significant progress in modernizing its economy and infrastructure. However, the country continues to face challenges, including corruption, political instability, and demographic decline. Despite these difficulties, Bulgaria remains a vibrant and resilient nation, proud of its rich history and cultural heritage. The country's journey from ancient civilization to modern democracy is a testament to the strength and determination of its people.